person from my side, but should they join, I guess they could just,
Okay.
fill in any blanks.
So welcome to the it's April 2022 meeting of the Transportation Committee of CB3, Transportation, Public Safety, Sanitation, and Environment Committee. So we don't have a huge long agenda tonight. I guess first of all, we need to approve the previous month's minutes. Are there any corrections that people thought needed to be made? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. So Wendy, would you like to do a roll call vote for us?
David Crane?
Here.
Michelle Cooper-Smith?
Present.
Wendy Lee, present. Lee Berman?
Present.
Tariq Darrell? Tariq? And Kenyelle Hernandez? Kenyelle? All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Tariq looks like he's on the meeting. If he speaks up real quick, we'll mark him present. Okay. Is that you, Tariq? Okay, so so tonight I'll be recognizing speakers. I appreciate it if people don't interrupt. Raise your Zoom hand if you're having trouble finding it. It's currently under reactions at the bottom of your screen. I'm not sure what it is if you're on the phone. Wave your hand real hard. We may see you if you can't find the Zoom hand. I don't think there's anything. Is there anything else I need to cover about how to run the meeting?
I don't think so. Being recorded, that's it.
And it's being recorded. Okay, so I would like to do this school construction authority first. If Josh, if you can take that, or Susan, who wants to run this section of the meeting?
Well, I think we planned for Josh, and the reason David's asking me is because I've dealt with these issues for a long time. I think we were going to ask school construction to give a presentation, and then maybe take some questions or issues from residents. We have at least 2 residents here.
Are those residents on the call?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, so go ahead, Josh.
Okay, so I guess I'll just give a brief, well, first of all, good evening, folks. Thank you for having us here. I do have one person joining the call. I just gave him a call. He'll be joining shortly, who's also from the SCA, the senior project officer on this project. So Joshua Adams, the community relations manager for Manhattan for the SCA. So what we're doing at MO64 is we're doing a pretty extensive exterior modification project for the school. That work includes flood elimination at the school in 3 specific locations, but really will be occurring around the school itself. We're doing roof replacement at the school, parapets replacement, and exterior masonry work at the school as well. So the reason for this work is that each year, we conduct BCAS reports, or these are building condition assessments for all of our school buildings around the city. So in particular, this school had a number of flooding issues in the school that required to be fixed. So there was flooding in the cellar into the school, as well as flooding and leaking occurring throughout multiple points of the building along the parapets and roof. So this work was kind of a necessity that we needed to perform in the building for its longevity. So in short, we began this work, I would say sometime in late May, maybe early March or so. Right now, what we're doing for the first part of this project is installing all of the safety equipment on the exterior of the building. So we're doing the sidewalk shedding, scaffolding, and netting around the building, which I understand is quite noisy, especially when we're installing all the metal piping and putting in all the materials to support that equipment. So right now at this phase of the project, we're installing that all around the building before we actually start the work on the building. So this work typically goes until 12 a.m. or 11:59 p.m. with excessively noisy work ending at 10:30. That work will continue into the actual work itself. That means the flood elimination, parapet, rooftop, and exterior masonry portion of that project. Typically that work goes till 10:30 with the noisy work, followed by site cleanup, which is where they secure any materials and equipment for this project. So I understand there was a lot of noise concerns with that. We did reach out to the GC on the project to ensure that they reduced that excessively noisy work at 10:30, so as not to disturb the neighbors after that point. I understand there was probably some other noise that may have came from the site cleaning. So I guess just want to hear from you folks about any questions on that. We're looking at finishing the project here. Let me just double check. Nick, are you on the call here yet?
If I could actually just jump in just one second. I see that Councilmember Marte.
Oh, avoid it. He got promoted.
I'm so sorry. Someday. Council Member Marte is here, and Council Member, are you going to be able to stay on the call, because we could table this matter to do your item if you are pressed for time?
I'll be able to stay on until like 7:15, 7:20.
That should do it.
Yeah, this isn't going to be long. Okay, excellent. Okay. Thank you.
So I'll open
Joshua, can you hear me? I think you were asking me earlier about the outlook for the project.
Yeah, I know this project is about 18 to 24 months. What's the current anticipated completion date now, just to double check?
Our current schedule has us mobilized for 18 months from the sign off of the equipment. And so we're still not signed off. As you said, the way that the rules work with BOB, all the protective equipment in all locations has to be in place and signed off before anybody does any actual work. So we're looking at 18 months from there, and we're probably 2 to 4 months from that sign off. So we're looking this will drag into 2 more summer seasons to completion.
Understood. Thank you. So I guess I just wanted to open up to questions from the community about the project, if you had any.
I think Susan may want to lead that question, or raising hands if you want.
Sure. No one's raising their hand, but Mark Hanna has been the lead person. Mark, do you want to talk about, I can say Bruce Smith. So let's go to Bruce first to talk about the current issues. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes. Hi, good evening. My name is Bruce Smith. I live at 246 East 4th. That is the brightly colored white and other colored building that is across the street, across East 4th from the school. My bedroom window faces that school. You know, Mark can back me up on this, but there was more than noisy work done past 10:30 early on in the process. The last couple nights have not been bad. My concern is how that will continue in the next 24 months, and who's in charge of making sure that the noise ends at 10:30. I know that we're not supposed to send noise complaints to 311 because of the agreement that has been made. I get that, but if we do have complaints, I'd like to know sort of what that process would be. Thank you.
Sure. What's this agreement about 311 where you couldn't?
No, what happened was in the beginning, they were calling 311 and saying, not understanding school construction has different hours, and it actually doesn't do any good to call 311 because the permits are till midnight. So I told them calling 311 wouldn't do any good at that point because this wasn't DOB rules.
Got it.
But I still think, you know, 311 is not going to work because you have a permit to work till midnight.
So Bruce, and for everyone else, so I do community relations. So any complaints of excessively noisy work after 10:30, I'll just drop my email in the chat there. You can just shoot me an email, and we'll follow up with the GC along with our project support team from the construction management at the SCA, and get this information over to the GC and ensure that doesn't keep continuing forward. I think, you know, in the first instances that we heard about this, we had reported this over to Nick, who's on here now, who actually reached out to the GC and kind of corrected that issue. Now, if these issues persist, then, you know, it's our intention to keep reiterating that the accessibility noise does not extend past 10:30 p.m. on the project going forward.
Okay.
I want to say I appreciate the fact that they're contacting you directly, so I don't have to get involved in every time.
Okay.
But Bruce and everybody else, please CC me so I'm in the loop if there's a continued problem, okay?
Will do. Thank you.
I guess a follow-up question to that is, and I'm Mark Hanna, and I live diagonally across from the school at 240 East 4th on the corner of 4th Street and Avenue B. Like, what do we do in the moment? It's all well and good for us to email you, but you're not going to look at that email till the following day, and who knows how long that's going to take. So, like, what do we do in the exact moment that the problem is happening?
Get Josh's home phone number.
Yeah,
no, I mean, is there a way to have direct
That
contact with the contractor and the supervisor on site and so forth? How do we do that?
Nick, is there any contact numbers on there for that are posted?
Typically there's a superintendent's number on the job sign that we put together. There is not going to be necessarily the same superintendent there for all shifts. I'm not sure in the moment. So it's 10:30, 10:35, and they're still working. Unfortunately, at this point in the management of this problem, the issues that we had at the beginning, unfortunately, are very common. Because anytime there's a new crew that shows up, or a new foreman, or somebody's trying to get a scope of work done, they're not necessarily accustomed to things being as tightly kept as they are in these kinds of projects in these neighborhoods. And so we've been through, unfortunately, a really predictable process. The complaints came in, we dealt with the GC, and when things weren't dealt with right away and for the final time, we had to throw people off the job. And so ultimately, in the moment, I'm not going to be there on the site at the moment. And I don't know necessarily that in that short term, say between 10:30 and 10:35, there's a lot of utility there. The superintendents and project management team on our contractor side has demonstrably reined in their operations, and sort of really as a function of, unfortunately, where the rubber meets the road, of there being consequences that we've all imposed, because we have no intention of running afoul of this 10:30. And that's why you see some pretty strict adherence to it. And so at moment-to-moment enforcement, I don't know that we have a sort of mechanism for an immediate boots on the ground. But we certainly do have the ability in the big picture to keep that from being a concern. To my understanding, this has not been a sort of renegade crew as much as it has been a matter of clarifying the communication of the requirement for the folks that are there, so they understand when 10:30 means quiet, that means no touching any of the frames that are going to clang into each other, or the parts of their work that are noisy, so that they can back off of it.
So can I ask, and it sounds like it has been better, and I've been through these situations too, like even right next door to me. So can I ask, and we're not talking about 10:35, we're talking about, it extending
no, I understand, like
that.
11.
Yeah. So can I ask, if it does start becoming a problem, that the contractor will find a way to have a steady number at the site that people can call? I mean, that's not asking a lot. I mean, we're not waking anyone up. We're telling people who are working, hey, you're not being careful enough. So what I'm saying is, let's see how it goes. And if there are problems, it's not that hard to create a phone that's kept there. How does that sound, Josh?
Understood. That sounds reasonable to me, Josh, from a CM perspective.
Yeah, I think that's something we can do.
Okay, so the residents all know to let me know if it continues to get a problem, and we will get a phone number for you so you don't call me at night. Lee, did you have something you wanted to mention? Which Sharona thought was very funny.
I would actually go a step further, and I'm actually surprised that this hasn't been implemented. And I'm glad that Chris is here, and as well as I believe somebody from Councilmember Rivera's office. I would suggest that the FCA, if it doesn't already have a 24-hour hotline, that they have one, so that when there are jobs going on, there can be a number posted at every location, so that if there is something, for example, an emergency or a noise issue or something, and somebody at that location needs to be contacted, there's a number for almost like the best squad that DOB has. FCA has a number. The public can call, and then SEA is capable of reaching out to the GC. SEA should know who to reach at each location, whichever contractor is working that day, that month, etc. So that would be a suggestion for not just this site, but for all.
So it sounds good, but I can tell you the best squad doesn't always work. I've been through
using that as an example.
I know, but it's kind of, I'm going to be honest, it's putting more layers on it. I've had at least 7 or 8 of these projects I've dealt with school construction. And, you know, I do, and working with Josh and the contractor is more direct than going through others. It's not like they're going to be off someplace. I would say that I feel confident with the steps that we've talked about. If it becomes a problem, I mean, these are residents who are all very, you know, send emails in 2 minutes. They won't be shy, which is a good thing. I'm complimenting them on their productive complaining. And I really feel confident that with these steps that this would be, we can at least see how this works.
And it sounds like there's a great relationship between Joshua and everybody else in this particular job. But again, the suggestion would be there may be community boards or contractors that aren't or community organizations in other parts of our district or other parts of the city that may not have such a great relationship, or that they may not be working as well. So it would be a suggestion that maybe SCA could take back and review.
Thank you.
Yeah,
yes.
typically, like it doesn't necessarily any complaint we get, even if it's a complaint from a phone call or email just to me, and it's not a coordinated event such as you know, a community board getting involved, we would still reach out to the GC and correct those issues regarding the excessively noisy work and such.
But Josh, have you shared your email? And could you perhaps?
Yeah, I put it in the chat. I don't know if you guys. Yeah, it should
and
be in there.
It's in the chat.
No, it said direct message. Sorry.
Yeah,
I will
show up to everybody. So
I can't send it to everybody, unfortunately. Okay.
I will. It's not. It's the chat is set to not go to everybody. Okay. I will send it to Mark, and Mark will. You can send it out to everyone. Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Fine.
So
sure.
I guess the other question I have, which relates to this, but also any situation like this, and maybe this is a matter best addressed by the 2 council members and their staff that are here, but who set up this crazy policy to go till 10:30 at night? Whose bright idea was that?
Mark,
because we will need to get to the next item.
So, but if I could just say briefly, they cannot work during the day because there are kids in school.
That.
So they must start about 4 o'clock.
I get
if
that.
They used to work till 12. I'm going to take part credit for several years ago negotiating this 10:30 thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would take 20 years. I mean, it's an unfortunate thing. And if you want to talk more offline about it, I'd be happy
Sure,
to.
but then let me just voice my objection that I think that sacrificing the quality of life of the community for a construction job is not a wise decision. And I hope our council members can take it up with their colleagues to make a change.
So you're the affected council, I don't believe is on it, but we're talking about our kids. I'll let it go there.
No, I
Can we
get that. I get that. I get
Can we go to the next item?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Okay.
yeah, so thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
I will send Josh's email to Mark and please let me know if there's any problems.
Sure thing. And thank you, Nick, and take care, everybody. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Be well.
Okay, so the next one, this is the informational presentation. Council Member Marte's initiative with ACE to expand street cleaning services on the Lower East Side. Is there Congress? I did it again. Council member want to speak, or who do you want to speak on this?
We actually created just a small presentation, and then we'll take some questions at the end. But thank you all for being on. And yeah, we have some exciting news that we launched last month. And let me see if I can share my screen. I think the host has to give me permission to share, if possible.
Yeah, Michelle, do you want to make Chris a co-host?
Okay, awesome. Great. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so we had some exciting news because over the years and more recently, we've been hearing a lot of concerns about sanitation, especially since last year there was massive cuts to the sanitation budget, and even this year with the mayor's preliminary budget, he wants to continue the cuts that all of us are concerned about. And especially with the introduction of outdoor dining sheds in the past 2 years have created a lot of new sanitation issues for the district, especially in this area, which is Delancey Street and the northern streets above it. And as we all know, everyone on this call knows that Essex and Delancey have been a high traffic corridor for both commuters, residents, and also now there's a lot more store vacancies, which also kind of hurt because typically a lot of these stores would clean up in front of their shops. And so with lesser store owners and workers, it allows trash to pile up in some of these vacancies. And so we decided to partner with ACE. ACE is an amazing organization. It stands for Association of Community Empowerment Program. It hires people who are formerly homeless, currently homeless, many who are formerly incarcerated, to give them job training, work experience, and a lifetime support to progress with their life and accomplish their personal goal. They do a lot of work in our district historically, especially they were founded in Soho. So that's where it was launched, and now they work citywide in Queens, Bronx, and Upper Manhattan. And I thought we desperately needed additional help in the Lower East Side. So when I looked at a partner, they were the first people I decided to call. And so, yeah, we decided to team up to clean up Delancey Street. We had a press conference, I think, either a month and a half ago or 2 months ago. As I said, they have a great track record. Here in Community Board 3, I believe they do the Manhattan Bridge along the Forsyth Street Plaza and sometimes along those markets in Chinatown. I think they do it on a weekly basis. They also do some graffiti removal. And so we know that they know the area fairly well. And some of the residents, as the lady here, actually lives in the Lower East Side. So it was cool to kind of support someone that works and lives locally. And so the reason why we were able to fund them and fund this initiative is that they had, let's say, in our budget cycle every year when organizations can't fulfill their budget requirements, for example, the money Margaret allocated to them last year, we have kind of this pot to redistribute. And so we're able to redistribute some of the funds that weren't used from the nonprofit that were given, and we decided to give it to ACE for now until July, and hopefully with the new budget cycle, we'll be able to continue to fund them and continue to expand the work that they do so well. And so we did this little map so folks can see what area they'll be cleaning. So they'll be doing Delancey from Bowery to Ridge. When it comes to Rivington Street, they'll do from Allen to Ridge, and on Staten, they'll do Essex Street to Clinton Street. This is where we've been getting a lot of complaints, especially along the Clinton Street area and Norfolk and Suffolk. We know the bid does some work on Orchard Street and Ludlow, but you know, as we all know, sometimes with wind, a lot of the trash just gets pushed over to another block, and it's really disappointing when there's a line that kind of says which part of the street or block can be cleaned and the other not. So we decided to expand to this area of the Lower East Side, which I feel like has been neglected a little bit when it comes to additional street cleaners. And so, as always, if you see trash anywhere or you need help, please reach out to our office. Like, this is something we really want to expand throughout the district. So if you see other parts of Community Board 3 that need that support, whether it's, you know, on a daily basis or once a week, we want to make this a really big initiative going into the 2023 fiscal year for us to make sure that our neighborhood is clean, that people feel safe walking through it. And also, as we see tourism increase, we also expect a lot more trash. And especially if the mayor doesn't fund Department of Sanitation as the council wants, it's going to be up to local council members to fill up those gaps. And so we're willing and we're committed to doing that. And so if you guys have any question, I'm happy to answer. David, I think you're on mute.
I was on mute during that whole presentation. I'm so sorry if you guys heard me fiddling around. I see Michelle has her hand up. Michelle.
Hi, Chris. Nice to see you as always. So I just wanted, I apologize. I didn't have a chance to like overlap the map that you are doing the expansion with over, because we had voted, just to remind everyone, we had voted as a committee and then as the board in October to be supportive of the bid expanding its territory. So I just wanted to make sure that, and I'll drop this on page 15 and at the end of these minutes from last year. I just was curious like how that's working in terms of if there's any overlap and if you guys are working together.
Yeah, we actually just met with the bid today again. And, you know, additional street cleaning, especially on areas like Orchard Street and Ludlow, doesn't hurt. And what we told ACE was that if those streets are clean, then just move over to the next area, right? And if you could do additional blocks going up or further east, happy to do it. You know, they're fairly flexible, which I like, and there's no real boundary that they have to constrain themselves to. So it's helpful for us, and I think it's really flexible to know that they can go to other areas in Community Board 3. So, you know, I can, if someone, let's say Lee Berman says Grand Street and Willett has a lot of garbage, like I can call them up and they can move someone there without any questions or issues. And so I really just like that flexibility to use to serve the community.
Okay, cool. And I guess this is an ancillary, but I think part of the problem also, and this is the other part of the resolution, is about the commercial trash, which I know is not part of this, but just, you know, I think like so much of the problems like this is happening, that people rip open the commercial trash and then so like the commercial trash haulers won't come. So that's just something that we had Tasha, you know, we had given support for as well, was more unified trash pickup in the Lower East Side. So yeah, just wanted to flag that as well. But thank you. Yes, the trash is a problem. So I feel like if Mayor Adams would say, I'm going to solve the trash, he'd be remembered forever, but that's not where we're at. So we appreciate any other efforts being made there.
Yeah, and we briefly talked to the bit about that, about the commercial trash, and it's something we want to be supportive of because we know that's part of the root of the issue.
Hey, Lee.
Hi, Chris. Thank you. This is an amazing program. It's the fact that you've got formerly incarcerated and homeless folks. This is really giving back to the community and helping them. I noticed you mentioned that they do some graffiti removal. I couldn't help but notice in every one of the pictures in the background covered in graffiti. So I would hope that if you're able to get additional resources, it's even more bountiful than, unfortunately, than the trash. So anything that we can do, anything that the community can do to help advocate for additional funding so that not only is the are the streets cleaned from trash, but the graffiti that blankets the entire area really would help. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think 311 complaints do help, but make sure that you forward them as well to our office, so then we know kind of to make sure that they get resolved. We actually just did a swarm, which is kind of a EDC project where they like spend 2 or 3 days completely cleaning and graffiti of a neighborhood. We just did that in Chinatown and parts of Little Italy. As many of you know, Gigi Lee works for them now, so she was the person we were working with. And so if you know areas in Lower East Side that desperately need them, my office can be in touch with her and to make sure that we can coordinate an action on the Lower East Side specifically.
Susan?
Yeah, well, first, thank you for having a program that hires homeless and formerly incarcerated people. And I understand that the agencies are understaffed and having a hard time finding people. And I'm wondering if there's a way to put these people in the pipeline for agency jobs.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea. And one thing I didn't mention, because I didn't go into too much in their program, but they do a lot of literacy training and technology training, and they really hope that this is just their first stop. This is not like their career to be doing anti-graffiti work or sweeping or cleaning the streets. They really want them to kind of like move forward after they find a routine and kind of like able to kind of gain some funds to move forward. But that's a great idea, and that's something I can definitely recommend.
Okay, my other comment, maybe it's more of a comment, in the northern part of the district, in District 2, we not too long ago did kind of a restaurant shed walk, and Department of Health was there. And it is, cannot be denied that these sheds and the programs create a tremendous amount more trash. One of the things is that commercial trash, which should only be put out, outside the bins, should only be put out shortly before it's picked up, is actually put out much longer. It gets mixed up with the residential trash, so it's not always picked up. And it's kind of maddening that the administration is implementing all these programs without community input and creating a situation where it's necessary to have this extra pickup, but then not paying for it. I just have to connect the dots.
I agree with you 100%. And, myself and Councilmember Botcher, I think, have been leading on that front, trying to put pressure to say whatever program you move forward with, that it has community input, that sanitation is taken into consideration, and people's quality of life as well.
Thank you.
See Michelle again.
Sorry, I just had to make the plug for Clean Curbs, the pilot program that sanitation claims to be running, because I think that would solve a lot of the problems also if there were containerized trash on the streets. But I have no idea what the status of that is and what's going on, but just that was also in the resolution. So.
Yeah, I know they started a pilot program in Chelsea. And so they're seeing how that works. We actually have, I don't know if this is actually part of DOT, there is a containerized trash location on Kenmere and Mulberry that works really well. It's right next to the Thai Diner restaurant. And so if you ever want to see it in action or take photos of it to use for presentation, that's our local one. And
Forget Me Not too, on Division Street, he has a big,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That was interesting.
Great. Have a great day, everyone.
Wait, Jennifer, I think, wanted to make an announcement before you guys left.
Okay, Jennifer.
Oh, hey, everyone. I'm with Councilmember Christopher Marte's office. we are going to be having a helmet giveaway event this upcoming weekend. It's going to be at Seward Park on the corner of Canal and Essex, I believe from 11 to 2:30. And if you know anyone who lives in the district, any families or kids, it will be a contactless giveaway. Feel free to share it. I did email Susan all 3 flyers in Chinese, Spanish, and English, but I can put my email in the chat. And if anyone is interested, please reach out to me and I'll share it with you as well.
Yeah, it's great to keep this tradition going. I know it ended or paused last year because of the pandemic, but we wanted to bring it back because it was always successful. And it's helmets for everyone, not just for kids. So feel free to tell anyone to stop by.
Mine is long overdue. Michelle, can you see that and lift it, put it into the group chat maybe? Contact.
Yeah, are you able to send the chat to everybody?
Yeah, I can. I don't see what I'm supposed to send though.
Oh, contact from Jennifer. Maybe she hasn't dropped it yet.
Okay.
No, it's there.
The direct message.
To Michelle, yeah, or Susan.
Great. So the next item, I think we'll take the street co-naming celebration for the Avenues of Justice Way. Recall we did the co-naming a while back. I think it's gone all the way through City Council, and there's a mini block party essentially is being organized for this. So, the Avenues of Justice, do you want to take it?
Yes. Hello, I'm Angel Rodriguez. I'm the executive director and co-founder of Avenue for Justice, known as the Andrew Glover Youth Program. And I have to say that because we've been around for over probably 4 decades and a half. In 1976, I bought a building from the city to create a safe space for the kids when I incorporated this organization that's been rooted in the Lower East Side, providing services for many young people ages 14 through 24 in crisis with the law. Our organization is an alternative to incarceration program that through the years has been trying to preserve the rights of young people, trying to make the criminal justice system fair to them, and providing the kind of dispositions that these kids warrant, given where they're at, taking their situations into account. Providing a lot of wraparound services to get the job done and getting these kids to the other side. Kids are referred to us by the community. Andrew Glover, as you all know, was a police officer shot and killed in the line of duty in 1975, and befriended my good friend Robert Siegel, who founded this program with me. And sadly, they both passed, and I've been fortunate and lucky to have stayed the way and created an organization that today is also servicing kids up in Harlem, East Harlem. We have a site up there, and we're working desperately to wrap around services around the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens, given the issues in our city with our kids. Thank you.
And we hope you will all join us on Saturday, May 21st. From noon to 5. It is a block celebration. It's going to be kicked off by some notes from Carolina Rivera, Harvey Epstein, Al Bragg, and there are more. I'm slipping. And we will have free food. We'll have music. We have surveyed the neighborhood and turned in our paperwork for that. We had 8 out of 10 of the businesses have signed on, and the other 2, one is the manager is out until 8:30 at night, and so we're if you need additional signatures, I think we can do that as well.
We're good.
You're good, great. Please come May 21st.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to also thank the board. Through the years, I've had a street fair, and I don't do a lot on the streets with the kids, but we've done that. And the support that you guys have given me through the times has been amazing, including donations, as we are a non-for-profit who's always trying to raise a dollar to help a kid. So I thank you guys very much.
Yeah. And thank you for getting us through this process also and answering all of our millions of emails. It's been fantastic. Thank you, Susan and everyone.
Hope to see everyone there.
Excellent. So so the board needs to pass like a very short, like 2-sentence paragraph resolution stating the nature of this and that we approve of it happening. It is May 21st. I did want to ask, you're aware that the dance parade is the same day and it ends at Tompkins Square. It dumps a lot of people into Tompkins Square, so you may have additional guests.
Which parade is this? I'm sorry.
It's called Dance Parade. Usually it happens on Memorial Day, but it's happening on the 21st this year.
Thank you.
It comes down from Union Square maybe and down across 8th Street. It ends in Tompkins Square Park. And all the stands are active in Tompkins Square, so you'll be in a little satellite of that.
Okay.
But it comes from the west
Yes.
and ends in the park. So you may get, like David said, some run over, but I don't think there'll be any crowds.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
the lookout.
The parade won't go through your site or anything like that, no. So if the board members, do we have any comments or questions, or can we just quickly craft this motion? Don't see any Zoom hands. So how about if we say that we should mention
David,
that,
I emailed Wendy a pass block party reso if we wanted to use that as a model.
Wendy, maybe you have a draft that you could bring up then. This one,
yes,
this one can be brief. Susan needs to go onto a site and click off an approval thing.
The resolution doesn't go
anywhere. Susan to do it, and we just want to have a pretty just tight thing so the board members know what they're talking about, what they're voting on, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, basically you need the title of the event, the day and the time.
Right, and
the place.
Approved of the
So I put in the chat.
We need to sort of say something about having approved the co-naming back in whatever resolution date, and you know that they're celebrating the co-naming on May 21st, and we approve of this. It's called a celebration. Is that called a block celebration, not a block party?
Yes, it's what's on the agenda.
It's a celebration.
It's a technical thing. It's a celebration.
Right.
It really is. It determines what they can do and not do.
Right. And maybe it's simpler to process. The bureaucracy's less. So I saw that we authorized Wendy. Wendy, are you able to display?
Let me try again. Yes, I can.
Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. Mark, I'm doing a meeting. We're bringing in guests.
No. It's not Charis.
This is just like the template. I guess we can always use it to work off of.
This is the nature we need to do. So it's the
Avenues of Justice.
Avenues of Justice, but the title of the event.
The street naming celebration for Avenues of Justice Way.
Wait, it's
yeah, that's what it is. Street naming celebration.
Oh, okay.
For Avenues for Justice Way.
Right.
Or also, yeah, that sounds good.
This will be also a Saturday, right?
Right.
Yes.
May
Saturday,
21st. May 21st. On Avenue B between 6th Street and 7th Street.
And from noon to 5 p.m.
Okay.
Hi all. I don't know if this matters, but I think it's Avenues for Justice and not of Justice.
Thank you for catching that.
Avenue B from...
And Avenues with an S on it also.
Thank you.
Between 6 and 7 Street.
Yeah.
And B.
Avenue B, yeah. And we are so excited. Thank you, everyone.
Let's change the 300,000.
You don't need to put any, you shouldn't have anything. You don't need anything.
200.
And it does require street closure?
Yes. The street will be closed approximately 9 a.m., even though we don't start till noon.
This is good.
Okay, we can just leave this.
This is
so I think this is everything we need to do, unless we wanted to say, we probably don't need to state that we approved this back about a year ago. No,
like I say, it's not going anywhere.
Okay, so any other adjustments? I think we could actually do this one if there's no objection. Well, you know what? We're small. Let's just do it as a vote.
Yeah, and it's actually just one block closed, so it's just that one street.
Correct. That's good.
You can just leave it. Okay.
Yeah, literally, this is just so that the board knows what they're voting on, so Susan can go in and approve it. So, Ray, do you want to take a vote? Thank you.
David Crane.
I'll vote last.
Okay. Michelle Cooper-Smith.
Yes.
Wendy Lee, yes. Lee Berman.
Yes.
Tariq Darrell.
Yes.
And Kenyelle Hernandez. Kenyelle. And David Crane.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So appreciate this. See you all on the 21st, we hope.
Definitely.
Let us know if you need anything.
Thanks. Okay, so we have two more items. The committee most likely will engage on this. So 4, follow up to list problem intersections for the 2023 budget planning. I really ought to know what that item requires us to do. I think that we had suggested that we would produce a list at this meeting if people have brought it. I didn't make any preparation. I'm terrible. Fire me.
Michelle sent me some, but I don't have them. I didn't plan to have them for the meeting.
Michelle, you want to raise your hand?
Sorry about the bike lanes.
Well, these are problem intersections that we had talked about. Wanting a list of problem intersections for the budget planning.
That's right. That's right. It was.
Oh no, I just did the bike lanes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was mixing them up.
Okay.
This is the list. Well, anyway, this would be a list of things that we wanted to ask about at the budget consultation. We don't.
No, I was sending them in. I was sending them into DOT. I think so what happened is the context for this one is we got a complaint from a resident about a problem intersection, sent it to DOT. They put it on an immediate list because the mayor was asking for a list of problem intersections. So they, and they asked us to send any more for them to investigate. There were 2 other issues with the budget. The budget, I think was, I don't remember if it was the bike lanes, but one of the budget items was the Allen Street bike lane where they want more information, which means having a small meeting with them.
I'm still not clear if there's something we need to do tonight.
So what is it that you need, other than the cross streets? What else do you need for that?
For problem intersections, that's all I need. All you need to do is send, it doesn't have to be voted on by the committee or anything. The DOT wants to know the problems to investigate.
Maybe we can move to the next agenda item. Okay. All right, so this one can be meaty. Discussion of future agenda items. So we were talking at the exec about, well, the fact that, well, it's essentially opening up planning, getting your ideas. And so if we did it at the meeting, we would, well, it's an opportunity to talk about what do we want to talk about over the next, 6 months to a year. Things that, what might we want to see on the agenda? And we can talk about, I can't promise that everything will be on the agenda or that it'll be on soon, but these are things that we can try to address as a committee. I got some ideas, but I think I will open the floor to people who raise their hand before I just start spouting my ideas. Lee.
Something I'd like to see on the agenda, preferably at every meeting, would be a presentation from the precincts and PSA 4. A brief presentation about what's going on that month in the precinct, what happened, is there something of note, what they've been working on, crime stats if possible, so that we're aware of whether it's hotspots that may ultimately be coming to us. For example, I'd love to hear a presentation about 14th and 1st from the precinct. Other hotspots like that and updates. I mean,
do you think that this would duplicate the precinct council meetings to some extent?
You know, considering that this committee, public safety, transportation, etc., and we also have a different audience here. I attend my community council meeting every month. It's the same group of people. So this is a different audience. And having all the precincts and PSA share in this group, as opposed to a very myopic view, I really don't know what's going on in other community council meetings. I think that this can only help. I am aware that some other community boards do this in their public safety. It's an idea.
The word myopic used to describe precinct council meetings is interesting. I don't go to mine. I used to. I haven't been in a long time. It's true. There are, however, I'll point out there's only 3 people here who aren't committee members. So I'm not sure that there's that much reach, but it's an interesting idea. Another possibility would be people who would go to their own and report back, and we could see if we found that interesting to go to their own precinct council and report back about, and maybe it could be a 2-way kind of reporting thing.
I could see that point, but I would prefer to actually have the POs here, whether it's a community affairs officer or somebody else, somebody who represents the city and who has the capacity to answer questions if we have any about a subject.
Okay, so let this idea to the list. Other ideas?
I don't know if this falls under our committee or maybe like a different one, but there was like an article about a month back where bilingual signs are disappearing in Chinatown. Like most street signs in Chinatown would have both like English name and the Chinese name right underneath it, but a vast majority of them have been taken down and replaced with English only ones. Is there like any way to like have them put it back? Because it is, you know, Chinatown.
Yeah, that actually, I read that same article. It was fascinating. It would be a very interesting presentation also, regardless of whether we, because it has a pretty interesting history. Yeah, I actually that would be an interesting one. And if we could preserve those, you know, that would be good too. Yeah, we could explore whether it's possible to get productive agenda.
It would be DOT.
Right. Other ideas? Well, okay, Susan.
I just want to let people know that I'm trying my hardest to get Amazon to come before the committee. They've taken over both an empty lot and additional truck loading spaces on Bowery. DOT forgot to notify us, and they're not abiding by the agreements, and it's hellish over there. And it's so bad that DOT is reacting immediately. However, since they are gaining such a presence on our street, I thought it would be a good idea for them to come meet the community.
Shall I take a turn? Michelle.
Susan's point reminded me of some ideas. Okay, so one is, have any of the committees had those like new bodega-esque places come, because I've noticed similar problems with like the bike parking in the street. So I'm wondering if there would be an opportunity to bring them in to at least like make that formal. Like the one closest to me on Essex, just below Grand, like they have all their bikes a lot of times on the sidewalk. Actually, I noticed that the other day that they were actually in the street, which is better, but perhaps there's like an opportunity for us to weigh in on, you know, I don't know, the city making some sort of effort to formalize the bike parking in the street rather than on the sidewalk, especially there on Essex. It's super, super narrow. So that's one thing, because also like I know that Chris is not here anymore, but he had been talking about how some of these places might be in contravention of the zoning, but I've actually noticed that a lot of them have now opened up to retail customers. So they've sort of circumvented that accusation. So anyway, just thinking about ways that we can manage that. They're sort of like a relatively new thing to our district and the city. And then the other thing, Susan, that you said about Amazon just taking, like having such a presence, something that I had mentioned on the congestion pricing call, David, that we were on with the borough president's office, is like examining micro, I don't even know what it's called, micro transit or micro mobility delivery options. So like instead of having the big UPS trucks, they use like little small ones to get around, because that's such a problem in our district that we don't have space for these big delivery trucks, and especially around Essex Crossing where there are so many deliveries now. So I don't know if DOT is like working on a program around that maybe they could present to us about. And then I totally blanked on the third one. Come back to me. Thank you.
So Wendy, by the way, Wendy, are you capturing ideas or attempting to?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Susan.
I was going to say, as far as the micro, you'll have to give me the correct words. You know, I certainly can ask for a presentation on that. If you want to start having, you know, those, I don't know what you call those spaces with the bikes in front, there's got to be at least 20 at the moment, growing by the day. So if we're going to start reaching out to them the way we do the SLA stuff, we have two options.
No. I meant more that, has the city thought about that? Like, has DOT thought about that?
Oh,
you're asking to how they're doing it with Amazon.
You're asking for a presentation.
Because it seems like they've thought about it with Amazon or Whole Foods or whatever, but it seems like they haven't gotten there on. No. It just seems like they haven't gotten there on these.
I got you. It's more a presentation
15-minute
about
delivery.
Trying to plan. Trying to plan.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Got it. Much better. I was going to die.
My turn or someone else? Okay. The thing you said about congestion pricing reminded me. I should report about that probably. The borough president brought us all together, different chairs of all the community boards, and we basically just, you know, introduced each other and talked about how much we wanted or issued warnings. Anyway, I don't know if it'll go further, but we did learn that it's that they are firing up this transportation mobility something board, but this is the blue ribbon panel that was going to actually come up with what the scheme is going to be. And so that is getting off the ground, but it's not going to be until 2024 that they're probably they're probably not going to be able to implement anything until then. So it does look like it's nearly 2 years from now before we'll actually see congestion pricing. You know, I don't know when we want to engage or learn, but I know that the board CB3 has never passed a resolution on it. And I'm not suggesting that we need to do it now. But I did point that out at this committee, this joint, whatever they're calling that group, but the borough president group, that we had not, and most boards have not. And so we're all kind of constrained about, you know, what we can actually advocate for without doing that. If there's no immediate questions on that, I got another one, Susan.
So this panel, is this a panel that includes community people?
Well, I don't think so. Well, I believe it will. I don't know. It's the one that the legislation required them to set up.
Oh, I see. But at some point, there has been discussion about you know, people from the community, you know, having a local panel and having people from the community be represented on it. I just think it's something to ask about in the future.
Okay, well, if it comes up at the, you know, if we have another one of these meetings.
It's come up in past.
Borough president level, ask them what they know about it. There was a lot of questions of them from different committee members, different board committee chairs. The one I went to, and I extended the invitation to Michelle, was the community board transportation chairs. So that's, yeah. So another one. So a couple months ago, we had a proposal come to us from DOT about Clinton and Grand congestion, et cetera. And we disapproved of the plan that came before us. I mean, I don't know how much momentum there is, but DOT is, you know, considering ideas. We might want to get involved in that. I kind of feel that I would like to have the committee prepared to understand what it is before something actually came from them. And it would be nice maybe if we were able to like influence them with, you know, what we actually would be interested in seeing. And I can't promise that we can set that up. But anyway, that's a thing. And we would like there to be momentum on that. So people had thoughts on a productive way to engage. Susan and I have been talking, so you know, there will be something happening at some point.
Soon.
Soon. Are there others? We can add this as a semi-regular item, because I think it's a good thing to do, you know, to sort of share. There's generally a lot of frustration, especially new members, and I think in the time of COVID, just like so much disconnect in general, that I think people really didn't understand how to get something even like on the, you know, into the air, you know, for community board work, you know. So how do you get something on the agenda? That's a common question. Anyway, that's what this can serve for. And
also, I was going to
invite
invite
the idea here, you know, this doesn't get it on the agenda. There's work that has to happen before something actually gets on the agenda. And so maybe we'll be reaching out to people who had thoughts at, you know, at this session, at the other ones like it. Okay, so how, what, who, you know, who, what, when, or why, that kind of questioning. Fair enough? I don't think there's any other items on the agenda. So, shall we go directly to a vote to adjourn? Sounds good. Go ahead and do that as a roll call, if you would, Wendy. So this is a yes or no on whether to adjourn the meeting.
David Crane.
I'm gonna go last.
Okay. Michelle Cooper-Smith.
Yes.
Wendy Lee, yes. Lee Berman.
Yes.
Tariq Darrow.
Yes.
And Kenyelle Hernandez. Kenyelle. David Crane.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.